Now, let's talk about the Republican field. The Des Moines Register Bloomberg News poll shows Donald Trump on top of the field, still 23%. Ben Carson, number 2 with a bullet at 18. Cruz and Walker tied at 8. Rubio and Bush tied at 6. Congressman Blackburn, you introduced Donald Trump in Tennessee yesterday, and you were telling me earlier, like, the crowd was
very young.
Very young.
Which surprised me. And, you know, we've had Walker and Cruz and Carson and Trump. We've had them all in. And, of course, we welcome them. We like this SEC primary March 1st. Here's the thing. I think that young people, just as they go to Bernie Sanders, they are moving to Donald Trump. People are sick of Washington, D.C. They are sick of both parties. They are sick of the House and the Senate not putting things on the president's desk. The big word right now is, what will you do? People want action, and Donald Trump says, this is what I'm going to do. And you're seeing people move to Trump, anti-establishment. Carson, anti-establishment, the same with Bernie Sanders.
I just want to make a point of distinction here. I think we need a new word to describe Trump, Carson. Anti-establishment, that's Ted Cruz. You don't have to be inexperienced to be anti-establishment. Bernie Sanders, lifelong politician, he's anti-establishment. Ronald Reagan was a governor of California, and he wasn't an establishment candidate. Donald Trump and Ben Carson are simply inexperienced. And look, you can have good ideas and come from a lack of experience, but Ronald Reagan went on the campaign trail. He didn't call people names. He didn't make wildly uninformed statements like Ben Carson does, that prison turns you gay, for example, just one. So I think it's important to draw a distinction between just not wanting the same old, but also wanting someone that comes in with some ideas.
And I hope that it's your voters that are not making that distinction.
100%. I'm speaking to my voters.
And I agree with that, Steve, because I think at this stage in the campaign, voters, young voters, as well as middle-aged voters, we're window shopping. We're looking at all of the candidates. We want to date them. We want to see what they're like after midnight, before 6 a.m., after 8. So I think this is a very interesting stage of the campaign, but you know what? On that cold, wintry night, February 1st, an hour, and March 1st, a month later, that's when it really matters, and I think voters will sober up, come to their senses, wake up, whatever it might be, and they will choose somebody that they might want to be long-term.
But right now, here's the thing, Donna. Right now, they are doing that looking and showing up and listening. They are engaged. I have never seen people so engaged so early. And that is going to be a game changer, I think. Whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans.
A quick note on the Jorge Ramos thing. What did you think of Trump doing that?
I think that when I see Trump and Sarah Palin together attacking Jorge Ramos, I sometimes think the Republican primary is a plot to elect Hillary Clinton president. You really couldn't ask for anything more. I think that the Trump-Jorge Ramos exchange is sort of a perfect metaphor for the impact Trump is having on the Republicans for the general election, alienating Latino voters. I was in Mexico on Friday night speaking at a panel discussion, and 70% of the questions I got were about Donald Trump, because Latinos, and this was right across the board, these are people who either live in El Paso or have family in El Paso, have a morbid fear that Donald Trump may be the next president of the United States and implement his immigration policies. He will be the greatest Latino GOP effort ever.
Look at the Nevada poll, where he's got 28% of the vote, 31% of the Hispanics support Donald Trump.
Every other poll shows that
look at Peggy Noonan's column yesterday in the Wall Street Journal, where she had talked with people that are Hispanic.
Are you really not concerned at all about the effect that Donald Trump might have on Latino voters?
I think, Jake, that the fact that Donald Trump is pulling out all voters and is driving the discussion is an important thing. I think that the fact that illegal immigration being there on the front burner is an important thing. It is an issue that has to be addressed. And people want individuals coming into the country, and they're all for legal immigration. They are very concerned about illegal immigration, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, labor trafficking.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but just in terms of the sheer politics of it, are you as a Republican leader not concerned by the rhetoric that you hear from Donald Trump? Because I have heard many other Republicans say they are concerned about it.
I think that what he is doing, as so many people will say, I identify with what he's saying because he's concerned about the same issues that I'm concerned about. That's a good thing.
All right,
And it's important for people to have those discussions. And I think the fact that you're talking about the 3 top issues, and he goes on stage and talks about these: national security, job and economic security, retirement security.
Got to go
Driving
right now.
goes is
Thank you
good.
so much, Congressman
Thank you.
Blackburn, Donna Brazile, Dan Pfeiffer, SE Cup. Thank you so much. Great panel.